You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to NS9 Live. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler. We got Jim. We got a show for you tonight. What's up, guys?
What's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing,
last
Tyler?
Last podcast of the
show.
Last podcast of the off season, officially.
I guess.
I guess.
We got games tomorrow. We got
but
games
it's still
tomorrow.
spring training. Like, it's still the off season per se.
It's not the off season. Like, if you were, my dog just decided to get hold of a toy right now. But no, if you were like to be simulating an out of the park season, the off season would stop today.
It's a good thing that real life matters.
So today is officially the last day of the off season.
Okay.
In my book.
Sure. Not even your book. In some computer simulations book.
No, just like in everybody's book. Spring training isn't the off season.
Jim's on daylight savings time. Just let him go.
First off,
I mean, if you think otherwise, you're wrong. So, I mean,
Jim's wrong in the fact that it's still the off season. The season starts on opening day. Therefore, it is not the season. Therefore, it's the off season. So you're wrong.
The regular season starts on opening day.
So what's this? The irregular season? Are we irregular, Jim? Do you think
this is spring training?
Get your yogurt?
This is spring training. No, I'm just saying the regular season starts opening day. Spring training starts tomorrow.
Jim, we got some constipation. Everything's held up right now. We're not regular.
Yeah, the lockout ended. We're good now, but it's still the off season.
Today is. It's still the off season today. Tomorrow it's no longer the off season. No, it's not.
It's just a different version
the
of
off season tomorrow.
It is.
We need to do we got to do a poll. We're gonna put a poll out there. It's different tomorrow.
Fine, but
tomorrow is not the off season.
It is the off season. Because it's not the season.
Like you're incorrect.
No.
Like
you're incorrect.
You're wrong. So what about the postseason? Is the postseason the off season because it's postseason?
Is this called the preseason? It's called spring training.
That's literally exactly what this is. It is preseason.
No, it's called spring training. There is no preseason in baseball.
Good way of putting it. Spring training is the preseason. It is no longer the off season.
No, it's the off season.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. Like, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong about this.
You're wrong.
I don't give a shit what we call it.
But you know who else is wrong? Tyler, for thinking like we should have sun at 7:00 in the morning. So I'll side with you on that one, Jim.
Listen, man, I just asked that we don't have sun at the sunrise at 8:43 in the morning.
But why?
Because I'm already at work.
I just don't understand. I don't get. There's no way the sun rises at 8:43. I should say it's 7:43 right now.
No, you'd be surprised.
This is just another wrong opinion that Tyler has. I mean, there's no. You're wrong.
Jim, go back to Nashville.
It's going to be
shitty country music that isn't real country music.
It's going to be way better for it to be light later than light earlier. No one cares if there's light at 8 a.m. No one cares. Nobody cares.
Light later still means before 6 p.m. Who cares about it being daylight at 6 p.m.? Woo!
Everybody.
I prefer to wake up and it not still be dark and drive to work and it's still not be dark.
I prefer to get out. Thank you. Yes, I would prefer to get out of work and it not be dark.
Yeah, I would rather get out of work and have it still be light.
To do what? What are you going to do?
At least just
30 degrees.
Because then you're not like, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's seasonal depression. Like, you don't want to be leaving your job.
Grow up.
At night.
Grow up. Be an adult. You don't leave the house anyhow. You work from home.
Oh, I don't leave the house. But
so you won't notice.
So good. No, so good point. So like I do stuff after work. So like after 5 o'clock, I'm doing stuff, and it's better to be light outside then.
Like
than
what?
it
The
is
dishes?
to be light earlier.
Baking cookies for your wife?
I do some cookie
You
making.
got to take them out of the oven for her.
I don't
Because
I don't
she's
mess
the
with the
important one in
actual
the household.
baking. I don't mess with the baking, but
Thank
I
God.
do some of the cookie stuff.
As in, take them out of the oven when she asks, because she's busy being the adult in the household.
No. She is the
Yes.
adult though. Yeah, that is true.
That is a smart little point you made.
So
So-
to go back to your point,
My point is that
You're
you're all
wrong.
stupid.
no, you're the stupid one. You're the stupid
Okay.
one for thinking daylight savings time is bad during the winter, and then you're also stupid for thinking that that spring training is part of the off season.
I want to know
double
something.
stupid.
So what does she
I did
put,
not.
like what does she put in her cookies? Anything like specific?
It's just sugar
known for-
cookies. Yeah,
Just
they're
sugar.
just sugar cookies. Yeah.
So like I guess what's in a sugar cookie? There's no salt, no pepper, nothing.
Have you ever like pepper? Did you say
Yeah, I mean, I
pepper?
guess not pepper. But...
Have you ever had a
really
cookie?
She
I've
just
ever-
does
like-
sugar cookies then, right?
Like, have you ever seen a cookie before?
I was
Denario?
wondering again. Like, there's no cinnamon. Is like did you use cinnamon in anything or?
I mean, if you're doing like snickerdoodle cookies, there's cinnamon. Yeah.
So when she's not like putting like those seasonings in it, right?
Seasonings.
Would it be the off season for her?
No.
That was
That was
long
bad.
walk for a terrible drink of water.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you got into seasoning cookies, you don't season cookies, Donardo.
Yeah,
there's
it
no
was-
pepper. There's no pepper. Like, have you ever eaten a cookie before in your life that had pepper?
Dardo right there
I-
was
actually,
a hungover camel.
I have not.
Easy.
I've never eaten a cookie before. I think your wife should send me a couple dozen cookies just so I can try them.
I'll make sure I sprinkle a bunch of pepper on them.
The Dardo right there was a hungover camel making a long walk for a drink of water, and he just came into some vodka at 4 a.m.
I
And
was
it
too
just
deep
fell
once
over.
I started.
Yeah, that one didn't work. That dad joke did not work.
That was bad. That was real bad.
Anyways.
Speaking of bad things, what about the Pirates?
Yeah, can we just like get into that? Can we get into
Let's
the
get into
start
it.
of the off season, part 2? And what are we doing here, guys? I don't even know where do we want to start with this. There's so many layers, so many things we can do. There's so much that happened. Not only do we have the Pirates talk about the whole league, we have, as Jim pointed out, 5 minutes before the show, it will be released their top 100 prospect list. Like, there's a lot to talk about. And the fact that Tyler's losing his own poll, March Madness bracket.
Well,
It is
let's
what it is,
start. Let's start with since the last time we were on, the Pirates have made four major league acquisitions. By major league, I mean 40-man acquisitions.
Right.
So, first one being Aaron Fletcher, left-handed pitcher, claimed off waivers from the Seattle Mariners. Kind of looks like he might be, Anthony Banda 2.0, maybe somebody to take over for Chase Shreve, just kind of left-handed bullpen depth, it seems like.
Mhm.
Very limited major league experience, has yet to put up an ERA below 12.
Perfect.
So yeah, but I mean, okay numbers in AAA last year. Like nothing that's like overly jumps off the chart or anything, but he just strikes me as a just left-handed bullpen depth. Just turned 26.
You wanted to start this off by talking about Aaron Fletcher,
Yeah,
Yes.
let's get it out of
Yes.
the guy that I forgot that they claimed.
I
looked at
forgot
his-
until I just looked at the transaction list.
I looked at his Fangraphs page about a week ago. Is that about right when they claimed him? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, you're about right.
It took me about 3 seconds to look at it and be like, pass. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at right now. Pass.
No, I think you're right. I mean, he's a guy. He's a left-handed reliever. He's a guy.
He throws baseballs for a living. That's about all I can say about him.
Sinker heavy, sinker changeup,
jokes that
sprinkles and a
Tyler's guy.
slider.
We're
Yeah,
bringing the sinker
sinker.
ball
Bunch
back,
of- Bunch.
That's right. You did mention
bunch
that.
of sinkers. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want a lefty throwing sinkers. Get guys out. Like if you're a lefty, you have an easy opportunity to be a major league pitcher and just get other lefties out. I don't want you to be a grounder guy. Grow up.
Right. So like my whole thing on this too is just the fact that this is something where this is a move that every club makes. It's no big deal, right? Most time it gets swept under the rug because most teams are also making other acquisitions. It's just when the Pirates do it, this is one of the 4 moves they made, just as you alluded to. Like this is, we're starting off the show talking about Aaron Fletcher, where other podcasts are starting off their show saying, hey guys, you know what? Damn it, Jim. What?
Minute 18 left. Kentucky's losing.
I have them winning my bracket. Like, this can't happen.
All right.
But, other podcasts are on
Go
their
on.
show saying, hey, let's talk about us signing Freddie Freeman, right? Or, hey, let's talk about us trading for Matt Chapman. And, hey, we might go after Jose Ramirez, And us as the Pirates podcast, we're starting off saying, hey, we claimed Aaron Fletcher. So, like, again, this is one of the things that it happens to every club. It's no big deal. I'm sick and tired of seeing, like, World Series Pirates. Every club does this. It's just the difference is, I don't know. Like, are the Pirates looking to utilize him in a bigger role or something? Like you're talking about, I don't know. It's whatever. It's just arm. He's probably not going to pitch too often in this season. But it's one of those things. Like when you look at, his numbers throughout his career in the minors, like Jim said, nothing special. But he doesn't walk too many guys. He has some strikeout numbers. It's just whatever. With his rotation, with his bullpen, it's not good. So here's a guy. Spring, see what you got.
This is the most. His name's Aaron, right? Not Anthony.
Yes. His
Aaron.
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron. This is the most he's ever been
A.A.
spoken
Ron.
about in his life.
Yeah,
If he
this
turns out to be good for him. This
In
move
depth.
happens, as you said, a billion times. We're the only podcast on earth that ever talks about it.
I
Because
think
the
it
Pirates
is.
Don't do anything.
Yeah, I think there was something to be said though. The Pirates before this move was made, I don't think they. Oh, they had Sam Howard, and they had Anthony Bonda. So those were the 2 lefties that they had. So
It
I would
is
imagine.
it is 9:17. We're still talking about Aaron Fletcher.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's go. Let's move
Okay.
on.
So the
next
move.
next move. A real Major League Baseball player, Daniel Vogelbach, 1-year deal, with I think an option.
Yes.
So it was a 1-year, $1 million contract. Second year, $1.5 million team option with some incentives thrown in there too. Not a ton though, but yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about last week. We were kind of wondering, do they bring in like another first baseman / DH type? And here it is. They did.
Right. So it almost seems confirmed that Yoshi is the DH. We talked last week. Is he going to be the first baseman, the DH? They're going to rotate, whatever. I think it's clear. Not that either of them are fantastic first baseman, right? It's not like Vogelbach is, but I think, in my mind, correct me if you guys think I'm wrong, but Vogelbach's the first baseman. Yoshi's probably the DH.
Well, yeah.
I mean, neither are very great defensively,
Right.
so I'm not really sure.
I just feel, I just
Jim,
feel
get
like,
off of Fangraphs.
I just feel like Yoshi's just much more challenged.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if you've ever seen Vogelbach too. I mean, they're neither are very athletic human beings. They are going to play first base or DH. There's really no other option here. So yeah, I'm not really sure here. I think they'll split time. Really, I could see them both getting a little bit of time at first base. And
Where
then
I'm
you're
at
kind
with
of
it,
seeing who sticks.
where I'm at with this is, why didn't you just keep Colin Moran?
Well, he's cheaper
Like, yeah, why didn't you just keep Colin Moran?
because he's cheaper.
You
Well,
just signed.
yeah, Vogelbach's cheaper. Colin
Cool.
Moran
Why
would have
didn't-
cost them $4 million.
Cool. Why didn't you just keep Colin Moran for the 18th time?
Well, I'm
Right.
telling you
Well,
why.
that's what we're saying. We're telling you because he's cheaper.
I know
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
But I
here.
get what you're
It's
saying.
just dumb.
I get what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Like Colin Moran can play first base. He can play third base. You've seen him in the outfield. Hell, we've seen him at second base. He has. It's not well, but he can. He has.
Can and have done it before.
Now we got
I mean,
No.
I've
two guys that play first base like a bunch of paraplegics. And Vogelbach has not been a capable hitter in 3 years. What are we doing here? Just keep Colin Moran. He's going to be a league average first baseman and pay him the extra two. What'd they pay Vogelbach? I didn't see the number.
$1
$2
million.
million?
we just said
Woo.
it.
Yeah.
I don't listen when you guys speak most of the time, but
Well,
either
like-
way, pay him an extra $3 million. You've got a guy that can at least stand across the diamond and throw the ball across the field whenever Brian Hayes goes down because we all have terrible luck. And just keep that dude and let Yoshi hit DH. I don't like Colin Moran that much either. I think he probably should have gone. And it's not a Colin Moran argument, but it's more of a, why are you bringing in Vogelbach if we're not going to improve? Can we at least get, how many times have we talked about how deep the first base market should be and how many dudes can play first base and just hit? Instead, they got a guy that hit almost 30 home runs 2 years ago. Good for them.
3.
I will say this about Vogelbach, like his numbers against righties are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was 116 weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitchers last year. He basically didn't play against lefties. Only 34 plate appearances all of last year against left-handed pitchers. A weighted runs created plus of 1 versus lefties. So he is basically someone you do not have him face left-handed pitchers, it seems like. Yoshi is a little bit more even splits when it comes to the two, which may lend to Yoshi getting a little bit more playing time than Vogelbach. But yeah, Vogelbach looks like he's going to be just like that left-handed platoon option. And then, you know, you're looking for, I guess, another one of those bench bats. Michael Chavis, maybe Anthony Alford. I don't know who. Let me pick one of them. And that's your other option against lefties, I guess.
The other part I'll bring up about Vogelbach is if his expected WB, what is it? WOBA, ex-WOBA.
Yeah.
Is actually much higher than what he's produced. So there might be a little bit more that they're looking at there, but either way, just keep Colin Moran. What are we doing? Why are you replacing him with a
cheap.
bad version?
We see what the Pirates. I know, no, and this isn't why I'm doing XYZ. It's why the Pirates doing XYZ, and you're right. But here's something I will say though. To your point, it's like what I put on Twitter. He is basically Colin Moran. Now they go about it differently, right? I mean, he has. So Vogelbach has hit, in the past 3 years, his peak has been a 218, 219 average, right? 208, 209, 219 is his batting average. So he doesn't get on, hit for average, but he gets on base and he hits for power. Where Moran didn't, he was kind of limited in the power. Now we saw some power break out in 2020. Last year, you saw a little bit as well, obviously with an injury. I don't know. We were talking last year as well about like Moran. Like, is there maybe a little more in that tank? Is there maybe more power coming out? Maybe we see it. Well, especially this year playing for the Reds, he might have some more power there. But it's like he doesn't have the power, but he hits for a decent average. He gets on base, plays first base, like you said, decently well. So they're different, but at the end of the day, they're like a 0.1 to 0.5 WAR player. It's nothing special between either of them, right? They'll hit for about average, right? WRC plus as far as the league goes. But none of them special. So again, like to your point, Tyler, the reason they did this is because he's $3 million cheaper than Colin Moran was. Now, I don't hate the contract in and of itself. Like it's $1 million $1.5 million option next year. If there's lightning in a bottle, like you have a little bit of control with this guy as well. It's not just a 1 year. You suck. You're cheap. We're going to sign you. But ultimately, he's not good. He's cheap, and that's why the Pirates signed him.
Which is just what we've been arguing forever, is that they kind of break out of this little cycle we got here.
I'm with you.
You suck. I know.
That's why the title of the show,
Yeah.
literally, like, hello, apathy. I mean, this is where we're at with Pirates. I can't tell you how many times I've seen on Twitter and such, too, how excited they are for Yoshi and Vogelbach to be in the lineup and this and that. And I'm like, what are we doing that we're excited about this stuff now? Like, I get just, it is what it is. Like, all right, he was cheap. Maybe there's something in there. Like, he did hit 30 home runs one time.
Cool. It was a long time ago.
I get it. So maybe something there, but like, I'm not looking this. I don't love this at all. When a team went and got Freddie Freeman, when you look at the Dodgers lineup, that's a lineup you want to love. This lineup here with the Pirates isn't something you fall in love with. There's nothing here that's lovely except for Brian Reynolds, and we hope Brian Hayes. Outside of that, you're hoping some of these guys are average players. You're hoping someone turns into a role player. What's there to love in that?
Not much.
So what do we love here? Like, we just become so apathetic that when you get a guy who hit 30 home runs once, albeit in over 1,000 plate appearances, he's totaled one frickin' WAR, and he had a season of 1.6 when he hit those 30 home runs. So he's lost production outside of that. What are we loving? Like, are we as Pirates fans attaching ourselves to the fact that, you know what? He seems like a fun guy, right? Like the Pirates are like the meme fan base. I mean, I get it. I love the meme and stuff, but it's like we're so focused on, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in this, but like we're so focused, this guy could be a fun meme guy. Like, we can make really cool memes on this person. Like, I love it.
Donardo, we had like a 2-week span where people thought John Nagowski was going to be a good major leaguer.
Just
because we made memes about him.
Who could barely hit
I don't
the
mean
wall.
we as in North Shore 9. I just mean people did. Because he hit a bunch of bloopers for it. This is a fan base that thought Matt Haig was the next coming first baseman. Can you imagine what this fan base would do if Twitter was around when they signed Reggie Sanders, who actually was a good baseball player?
He was good.
Yeah,
Reggie Sanders was
I was
good.
going to say that was actually a good, like, that was good.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they would have done that on a terrible team they had?
I would.
Yeah, Matt Haig was
to have a Reggie
nicknamed
Sanders this year. Just absolutely.
Matt Haig was nicknamed the hit collector.
Yeah.
He had a career batting average of 226.
Yeah, because he hit 285 in like AAA. Good for him. With like a 350 slugging.
Yeah. So
he stunk. This is what we do because, as the show is titled, apathetic.
I don't know if apathy is the correct word or if it's just because I mean apathy would mean you just don't care. The people care. I think they're just delusional. I think delusionality is maybe the correct word. Because there are people out there who are excited about Vogelbach and Yoshi, and there really is no reason to be excited about either of these two guys. Yoshi was DFA'd last year, twice, I believe.
Yes.
And
Rays and
Vogelbach could have been signed by. I mean, Milwaukee could have just tendered him a contract last year.
He was on. Vogelbach was on 3 teams in 2020, I believe, right? The shortened season, in the shortened season, he was on 3 teams. But I'm saying in 2020 was also a short.
I know.
Year.
I'm just saying
there was only 60 games, and he found himself on 3 teams that year.
But this is who we're excited about: Yoshi, 3 teams in 2021. Vogelbach, 3 teams in 2020,
and we love it. And I love it.
Jim.
Yeah. Now, one thing you will get out of Vogelbach, he's shown that he is at least. He's consistently been an average to above average hitter in baseball. Like the last 4 years, weighted runs created plus 98, 112, 98, 101. So like he's serviceable, right? Now, is he someone to get excited about? No, but serviceable, absolutely.
Right. But again, that's Colin
I don't
Moran.
call it serviceable as a first baseman. I'm sorry, that's
That
not
was the argument
serviceable as
about
a first
Colin
baseman.
But right. I mean, that's what I'm getting. Like he is Colin Moran. Production wise, overall, when you look at the end of the year and you see the value that this player gave you, it's going to be the same value that Colin Moran gave you. They just did it differently. You're probably going to see maybe a ball or two hit into the river by Vogelbach, maybe. Where with Colin Moran, you're not.
Yeah.
But you're also going to see this guy bat 200. Where with Colin Moran, you weren't going to do that either. So again, like it's basically nothing changed in first base in my eyes.
Yeah, he is a career 209 hitter.
The issue is that these delusional fans that Jim is talking about became fans of the Pirates very recently. Or they have jumped on Twitter very recently. And I don't know on what planet you would jump on the Pirates bandwagon. You're born into this. We were born into the darkness, as Bane says.
But anyways, like yeah.
Are you saying they're all bots? They're Bob Nutting bots
I mean,
to spread positivity.
I mean, we got people on Twitter saying that O'Neal Cruz is going to be a top 15 prospect when he's the 9th best shortstop according to MLB Pipeline.
Well, a lot of players have him. A lot of sites have him as a top 10 prospect.
Cool, but when MLB Pipeline lists you as the 9th best shortstop, do you really think MLB Pipeline is going to list you in the top 15? Nope.
Yeah, no.
And then go ahead and tout that, oh, he very well could be. Shut up, you dork. Be miserable with the rest of us.
So, like,
Come
here's the
to
thing,
our
too.
dark
You don't
side.
have to be, like, miserable. And I know, I mean, ultimately, I'm very upbeat typically and stuff. I've just, like, this offseason has really, I'm not going to say boggled my mind or stressed me out. Damn it, Jim. Please tell me no.
Tell me why.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
But it's just like this has really bothered me this offseason. There should have actually been some movement. The Pirates should have pushed a little bit on the gas pedal this offseason to build into next year. I mean, we've talked about this time and time again. Like they should have, and they're choosing not to. And it just really, really bothers the hell out of me. And now it's just being capitalized even further because you're seeing the Cubs doing it. Like they literally they trade all their players away last year. And they're saying this division sucks. So why do we have to? Let's at least be competitive to a degree. I'm not saying playoffs, but you see them out there like they're adding on to their club. They're not just saying, well, we've traded away, so we need to go ahead and go out there and be bad for 3 to 4 years, and then we'll start competing. Like, no, they didn't. You would have every reason to feel like the Cubs would just not sign anyone this year, would go have a bad season. They're still building or whatever and move forward. They had Marcus Stroman. They're adding it. Correa could be on the team soon. We don't know. And I understand the Pirates aren't going to go ahead and do that per se, right? I'm not asking them to spend a whole lot of money, but they're at $40 million. Like you don't need to settle on Vogelbach. You can actually look to build for the future in signings today because you're already seeing that there are holes, right? You've built, but you can already see that the outfield there's not a plethora of prospects in the outfield. Like most of our stuff is in the middle infield as Tyler, like you've always kept alluding to this, even Jim too, like everything's looked in the middle of the field. That's Charrington's always focused on, right? Up the middle. And again, if it's by design, maybe it is because we talk and we've been saying this, like the pieces the Pirates could buy cheaply right now are the corners. So free agent corners are cheap. So if you're looking to draft and develop it up in the middle, you can go ahead and when you need stuff in free agency, that's cheap. It's at the corners. So like, why couldn't you go out and sign a right fielder right now? Who the hell are you blocking? Why couldn't you get someone like a little more legit at first base? Like CJ Cron went for, what was it? $8 million, $7 million for the Rockies. Like you couldn't have done that. Like you didn't have to get Vogelbach. You could go out there and maybe get someone a little bit better, someone to actually get more excited. You don't have to love them, but if you love Vogelbach, my God, I couldn't imagine the thoughts and feelings you guys would have on an actual major leaguer. Like you can do that,
if they would,
and they didn't.
Imagine just like Jock Peterson.
There you go.
I understand it takes 2 to tango, but $6 million, and yeah, you probably want to go to the Giants instead. He would have probably turned down the Pirates, but something like that in that ballpark. We're not even playing the same sport at this point.
I absolutely get it takes 2 as well. Like I understand, like there's probably people who say, well, why would I play with the Pirates if I can play for the Giants? But I think it's very clear the Pirates aren't even trying to get those. They're not in any talks, any rumors, nothing. It's very clear the Pirates aren't trying to do that. They're trying to get Vogelbach and Aaron Fletcher.
Like, I remember when Neil Huntington took over and like a Roy Oswalt, Pedro Martinez were turning the Pirates down because they didn't want to play for them. I'd rather that happen.
At least they tried.
Yeah, at least they were trying to get someone relevant. Or not even relevant,
I know Jim's
just
wanting
like
to
not
talk.
bad.
I don't want to go ahead and say your piece because you're trying.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot out there this year when it comes to first baseman. I mean, if you actually look at the list, like as far as first basemen who were available, the Pirates signed 2 out of the top 9 with Yoshi and Vogelbach. Now they signed the 6th and the 9th out of those. But I mean, I feel like that's a position, like I'm not going to get like super upset about that. But like where like it doesn't make sense right now is like sign a corner outfielder, sign a right-handed bench bat. Cause like right now we don't have one. Like who's going to be the platoon with Vogelbach? Like who's that going to be? I honestly don't know. I have no idea who that's going to be. But like a corner outfielder would be nice. A right-handed hitting corner outfielder, a second baseman maybe that has played productive Major League Baseball before. I don't know. Maybe that would be nice. I think those are the things that, you know, they're available and they're not expensive. Like I said, I know I don't want to kind of keep going back to this, but like Andrew McCutchen signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Brewers. And you know, Jason Mackey sent out that tweet saying, yeah, the Pirates know that you're upset, but this is all about winning in the future. Like what would that have done to the future if the Pirates spent $8 million for 1 year of Andrew McCutchen? Like, how does that affect the future plans in any way whatsoever? But like, go out there and get a player like that. It doesn't even have to be Andrew McCutchen. Like, go out there and get a right-handed corner outfielder or someone who can play DH against a lefty. Because right now, I honestly like, who's your DH right now against a left-handed pitcher? Like, who is it? I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
It might as well be Cole Tucker.
Yeah. Before we get too deep into that, I actually want to go back to something Donardo went on a rant about in our group chat about signing Andrew McCutchen and that Jason Mackey tweet, and how important I think it is, and I know Donardo thinks it is to sign people that know how to win, especially when you have a young clubhouse like this. Donardo, just go ahead and go on your little rant, bud.
So that's part of it as well. The hello apathy. So we've been talking more or less like on a fan base side of it, right? As a fan base, we're just apathetic to this. Like the losing's here. So when you get these guys, you're just kind of excited because it can be memes. Like who cares if you're winning or not? My other like part of this and worry is that clubhouse. So again, as I've pointed out there, this will be, I think it's safe to say the Pirates will lose 90 plus games, right? I mean, they're not going to win that. They're not going to win 70 plus, right?
I would be surprised if they did. I think it's definitely possible.
It's
they
not
could
a
win
lock.
70.
Right. Like, I'll put it this way. No one's expecting them to win 70. They could.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is the team that you're looking at
to
win 70, right? So with that being the case, this will be the 4th year that Brian Reynolds has been a professional baseball player, all with the Pirates, and he hasn't seen 70 wins yet. Like, at what point does the clubhouse just become apathetic to the losing? All you've done is lose. Winning isn't a priority. And that to me is why this year was such a focus that like to do something, to infuse this clubhouse. Like at least you don't have to win 80, 90 games. You don't have to be a playoff team, but you can have a focus on winning and say, we're going to improve. I want to start seeing wins. 50 to 60 wins isn't good enough. Like it never was good enough, but like, I don't want to see that again. We're going to try. We're going to win. Brian Reynolds, here's some players around you. Brian Hayes, here's some players around you. Are they great? No, but guess what? This is the start of it. This is the foundation. See this farm that I've been building? They're coming up, right? We're going to start infusing this. So again, like, where is the AJ Burnett at? Why was that such a big move? Like, not only was it AJ Burnett, and yeah, they had the analytics going around, and he turned into a much better pitcher here, but he demanded winning. I mean, as a pitcher, I've never seen a pitcher become such a leader for a team. And that's what AJ Burnett was. And like, that was so meaningful to that team because they were coming off a 70-win season. Like, it wasn't like that team was great. They weren't saying, we're ready for the playoffs and let's add. They got AJ Burnett, and then it was afterwards that they went to the playoffs and such. But he was, to me, such an integral part of that culture change. Where is that person? Like, I'm afraid that Brian Reynolds, and I know they're professionals, you want to win, but all this losing just wears on you. And at what point do you just like not care and I need to get out of here? Or if you don't get out, you're just here and just going through the motions. I don't want to see that. And that's what I'm worried about too. Like, that's why I want to see something here. Andrew McCutcheon is a great example of that. He comes in and out. He's light. I mean, he's not fiery like AJ Burnett, but in a different way, I think it would bring something to that clubhouse. You know, you add in someone else. Like, you get some veteran leaders in here that have done it, been through that, right? They want to win as well. You start building something. It's not so much the team and the organization, like you talk about, like the future. Like, you're actually starting to build this clubhouse, this morale, right? Which right now is just, hey guys, we suck and it's whatever.
Yeah, not to mention, you're leaving a lot on the plate of Derek Shelton, who has not had much success as a Pirates manager, to be polite. And he has no veteran leadership. Who really does he have to lean on? Because at some point, everybody tunes out the manager. It's going to happen no matter who it is. Who's he got?
This will be his
Kevin
third
Newman.
year and his 4-year contract, right? Where he's been given bottom barrel team. Like,
Yeah, he's got guys that are not getting hired anywhere else.
I mean, there are only 3 people on the roster right now who qualify like to be free agents, right? Like 6 years plus of service time. That's Roberto Perez, Jose Quintana, and the newly acquired Heath Hembree. That's it. Those 3 guys.
Quintana? Oh, you said Quintana. Sorry.
Yeah, Quintana.
Kentucky lost.
I know. It's so amazing. I'm so happy. I'm out
of the bracket.
So happy. So happy.
I thought you had Louisville beat them.
I had them beating Louisville. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Wrong.
No, but like you mentioned, there really is no veteran leader. I mean, because you mentioned too those 3 guys that I just talked about. So the 3 biggest veteran guys on this team are all new. Like they literally just met all these guys like a week ago. So again, like how much veteran leadership are they going to really be able to provide? You know, so the guys who have been around, maybe you're looking at, you know, I guess Chris Stratton, you know, has been around a while now.
On a bunch of bad teams.
Right. Yeah. The Rockies and the Pirates.
But, yeah. And then like Ben Gamble. But then you're looking at like the next guys would be like Kevin Newman. Kevin Newman's, this is his 4th year, right?
Been on a bunch of bad teams.
Yeah. But that's who you're looking at right now as like the veteran leaders of this team.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Like you are actually putting a lot on your manager there. And thank God we got a DH now, because I don't want to watch Derek Shelton try to actually manage games. But in his defense, you are giving him bottom barrel, scrap heap, whatever, like bubble gum and super glue put together team you got. And it's not fair to the dude. Like, he's got nothing to work with.
You're right. I mean, we've been critical. I don't think he's a good manager. I won't even say the greatest. Like, I don't think he's a good manager. But yes, the DH takes away a lot. But also, to be fair, he's got to manage differently. Like, he's not really, when I say trying to win, it's not that they're tanking, but he's got a lot of other focuses than just trying to win that one game.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the organization as a whole, it seems like they're focusing on, keeping minor league teams together that are winning rather than promoting and trying to promote a winning culture there rather than maybe we'll try a little bit at the major league level where, our two studs are. Like maybe let's not burn them out to death.
Right.
Also, you forgot Mitch Keller about how long he's been here. There's another dude. He's been beat down by this organization.
Less than 3 years of service time. I mean, he's like barely over 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's been in the majors for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
It's just beat down.
Well, him of all too, because at least Brian Reynolds has been good up here, right? Kevin Newman he had a really good year. I mean, it's been mixed. Brian Hayes so far,
That's a lifetime ago.
But Mitch Keller, man, he's had it rough. So he's even got to be extra careful about too. But that's what I'm at too. I just feel like the clubhouse, what culture are you really building right now? Just a very apathetic one. Losing so far has been okay from the top down. There's got to be a time where you say we can't do it anymore, and I don't understand why it wasn't this year. It very well could have been this year. Again, not talking playoffs, not saying that they had to go out and do what the Cubs are doing, but there should have been something to say, you know what? We're going to start going forward. We're not going to stay stagnant. Why for 3 years you just sit there just doing nothing?
We're pretty close to Brian Reynolds just welcoming every new acquisition as welcome to hell.
I mean,
Jason Kendall style.
Right. Dude, that's the last thing you want to see. That dude's done. He's done now. You've lost him. You got to get that fire back. So why have it burn out?
Let's be honest. Why would Brian Reynolds want to sign an extension at this point?
Just for the money.
I wouldn't.
I mean, it would be.
I'll go get money elsewhere.
Guarantee your money. I mean, there is definitely some perks.
What?
But I mean, it would have to take a good offer though. If I'm Brian Reynolds, I'm not taking a hometown discount. That's not happening.
No. I went to Vanderbilt. We won there.
Good point. And then I was drafted by the Giants organization. Life is good.
Now I'm in this shithole and no businesses are open downtown and people got to get back to work. Whew.
But for real, you're trading in the Kutch thing. I mean, that's got to, all things set aside, that's got to feel pretty cool. You're going to the Pirates, which I know at the time they weren't winning, but winning wasn't that far in the rearview mirror. You could see some potential. They wanted you, so that's cool. When you're here, you got your call up and you've played well, but right at the end of this year, it's gonna be 4 years of just losing, and all that stuff is way, way in the past, also. And you're looking in the future. I mean, yeah, there is stuff coming, but everyone talks about how they don't believe in this front office. Well, the ownership, right? Investing. And now I'm part of this. And am I going to be part of this next wave where I don't trust ownership to do the same thing? Because, sorry, so far I've seen the same thing everyone's been complaining about. All the old people, right? All the old organization that they ditched and went away with that told me the same thing. Right? When I was told welcome to hell by all the players, I'm seeing the same thing now too. So maybe it must be hell.
I'm still a little distracted.
But if I'm Brian Reynolds, though, if I'm looking at what's coming up, it's dude, I'm gonna be 28 years old by that point. Can I win sooner than that? I'm in my prime right now. This isn't the steroid era. I'm not going to be that good after 30 anymore. I can't play center field then. I need to go win now if I'm him.
Well, I think we mentioned this earlier in the off season when it was like, this has to be the year where you at least show Brian Reynolds that you are trying, right? Like you can't be terrible another year. And it just seems like we're going down that path where we're going to be terrible one more year. And then, it looks like 2023 now is going to be that first year of really trying to get any better. Because right now, we have seen absolutely nothing. Like, not a single move has been made this offseason to make the 2022 Pirates a better team than they were in 2021. Not
Correct.
one move.
Correct. You could argue they're worse. Mm-hmm. And the only way they'll get better is because of actual, actual improvement of the players, right? Development and such. Because again, like, I keep
actual improvement. And then Cruz and Contreras, like, eventually, like, being mainstays, hopefully this year, you're kind of hoping that they also help the team a little bit.
Right. But again, you lost 3 WAR and Adam Frazier. You lost 2.5 in Jacob Stallings. And then there was 1 WAR in Richard Rodriguez. You have to make that up just to break even of last year. Now, again, there's the worst of the worst isn't on this clubhouse. Like, at least they've trimmed some of the fat. Like, you're not going to see Kai Tom never swing a bat.
Don't speak too soon.
Like, you might not see as many as those players. Not that there's any true upgrades, but maybe there's a natural attrition of, maybe there's just a natural 1 to 2 wins you're going to get by just not having AA players on the team. But with the AAA players you have on the team, right? Again, you have to make up those 7 to 8 wins just from what you traded away last year with. So maybe,
you figure
maybe
Cruz
does
come
give
from
you
Anthony Alford.
But that's what I'm getting at. So what if Cruz has an amazing year and he's a 3 WAR player? Well, that was Adam Frazier. So now I got to get Jacob Stallings. Okay, so what if Roberto Perez does match Jacob Stallings? Fine. That's last year. Where are the improvements? Where are you seeing them get better? I'm not seeing it. You could argue it's the same or worse right now.
You also forgot the whole, like, Tyler Anderson keeping them in games for half of the year.
You know what? That's a very good. Yeah, Tyler Anderson's a very good point. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to stamp Jose Quintana as the next Tyler Anderson either.
God, you know who could be the next Tyler Anderson?
Tell us.
Tyler Anderson. He's still available.
Right.
Yeah, Tyler Anderson's still available. Can probably be had for a 1 year, $5 or $6 million deal. Just exact same deal you gave him last year. Do it again, and you are a better team
again.
Yeah, and you are a better team than you are today if you do that.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Caho's out there too.
Don't do that.
True.
I mean, to be fair, I think the rotation on paper it should be better, in my opinion, because Chase DeYoung is not going to hopefully start a bunch of games for them. JT Brubaker hopefully will not run out of gas so quick.
That's fair.
You get maybe a season of Yahuree, who, I mean, there's something to work with there. Roansy will be up at some point, hopefully, as long as his elbow doesn't explode. Brice Wilson is me. There's Mitch Keller is everybody's up and like
he's the new Gregory Polanco
right now because that's a great point.
I'm not trying to say it like in a negative way, but at this point, like he's a lot of there's potential there. Every offseason, there's something that makes him look good, and we're talking about him. I'm not saying he's going to flame out like Polanco and not become something ever, but I'm just saying like he's now taking that role. He's the new Gregory Polanco until he figures that out. Because every year we're going to just be intrigued on him, and every year he's going to do something different. Because that's what you do when you're not good. You try something different. So we're all going to clear. I mean, just like Kevin Newman right now. I mean, you saw the Mackey tweets too, right? Like he's made some adjustments, and like I joked, unless he's batting 950, I'm not going to fall for it this time because we already saw him bat 750 last year, and he was terrible. So,
Yeah, I'm not believing any Kevin Newman hype at all this spring training until
Kevin
like it
Newman
actually
propaganda.
translates to regular season success. Like Kevin Newman could go out and hit 1,000 this spring training with just nothing but home runs. Not gonna believe it until it happens in the regular season.
It's like, who has more propaganda around him in the next month, Russia or Kevin Newman? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So we're all out on him. At the very least, Mitch Keller, from what everyone is saying, is throwing hard. Give it a month. Let him actually face a real batter, and then we'll kind of go from there with it.
Right.
Like,
and I get that. But you know what? Gregor Polanco is hitting the ball really, really far.
Yeah. And I hate to be that guy, but you know that tweet that the person that you hate just made a great point.
Yes.
I did read a DK thing earlier where the Pirates sent Mitch Keller away from Oscar Marine to Joel Hanrahan to work on him. In this offseason, he went somewhere else to get work. At some point, like, when's Oscar Marine a problem where we're sending Mitch Keller away from him?
We've talked
to get
about Oscar
better?
Marine last year. Sparingly here and there. We talked about him.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like the worst person you know just made a great point. That's what I felt like when I read that. I'm like, damn. They sent him everywhere else to get help other than the guy in house.
I mean, it could be a myriad of things, right? Like maybe you just want another opinion.
They literally
sometimes-
sent him to their AAA
but-
pitching coach.
Yeah. It is interesting, though, when it was like, hey, Mitch Keller needs work. Let's send him to Joel Hanrahan in AAA. When it's like, well, why isn't Joel Hanrahan here then? You know?
I'm waiting for you to stop to say, and here's the funny thing about this
Yeah.
whole entire thing, right? Mitch Keller, your prize pitcher, you sent to Joel Hanrahan, and then he said, well, we don't want you around here anymore, Joel Hanrahan. So, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
to the
take that
Oscar
single A
Marine
job.
thing, I'm not saying the whole Mitch Keller's the issue. There's other things around that we have questions about Marine with, right? But I'm not going to also single-handedly point things on Marine too with like Mitch Keller, because I think this is kind of a good example, maybe a bad one. Like, kids never listen to their parents, like, you know, but you send them to someone else that tells them the same thing. Like, you could be telling your kid one thing, they never listen, right? You send them to someone else and they listen. You're like, I've been telling you that for 6 months and I got to pay someone to do the same thing for you, right? Sometimes just the way they communicate, the style, I don't know. Like, they don't listen, they don't understand. You send them somewhere else and they click or whatever, right? So, not that that's a good thing either for Oscar Marine, like, but regardless, maybe just it's not clicking. Let me send them else, different communication style, different whatever, finds them, it clicks. I'm okay with it. I'm not too worried, like, oh my God, they had to do this. I mean, it happens. And you know what, Jim, you brought it up when we talked to the Fort, I think, or whatever, right? About clubs sending. I mean, every club sends their pitchers somewhere to do things in the offseason with, it seems like, anymore. So, like, I'm not too worried about that specifically with Marine. But again, it is what it is right now with Mitch Keller. Until I see results, it's just the offseason, it's just something new. Nothing happens. This is going to happen all over again next year as well, until it clicks or he's no longer with the team.
I mean, I got to think this is this the last year you're giving these coaches?
Oh, yes.
God, I hope.
Has to be.
I mean, even Shelton, I know you haven't, like, and this is kind of another reason why I wanted the Pirates to try a little bit this year, because I do really want to actually see, like, can Shelton manage a team that actually has some talent on it? We don't know the answer to that question because he's never had the talent to manage. I mean, they hire Shelton and then they just go on back-to-back absolute just awful seasons with terrible rosters, and now you're giving him a third straight year of another really bad roster. So, but I mean, how long can you keep a manager? Like 3 straight terrible seasons? Can you bring a manager back for a 4th year? I don't even know. Like,
well,
No, you can't.
yeah. I mean, regardless on if you give them anything or not.
Maybe let me play devil's advocate, right? So, you know, you've put him in a terrible situation. You've done it. He has one more year left on that contract. And if anything, we felt it should have been this year, but there's zero excuse that next year they're not adding, right? Like if what you want to see this year, Jim, has to happen next year. I think at any cost, like it has to. There's no reason, even if they don't sign anyone, just you're going to start getting some prospects in. It should be better. So if anything, he has 1 year left. Next year will be some of that, and then you can still evaluate him next year. I mean, what's the point of firing him, bringing him someone else? You still got to pay him anyways. I think there is that side. You know what you've done, so you give him next year to find out, and then you can also make your decision. Now, I think like on Marine, like other stuff, you can easily let them go right now.
Oh, this is Marine's year, I think.
I agree.
You have young arms. This is your chance. You either show improvement or you got to be gone.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can't hand Marine, Keller, Brubaker, Crow. I mean, I know we're not talking about like world beaters here, but Crow, Kranick, like somebody out of that group needs to show improvement. And like you could say like Brubaker, sure, but like Brubaker is a number 5 starter. Best case scenario. Like, can we develop a decent major league starting pitcher?
What happened?
We haven't done it
this year.
We haven't done it in a while, right? That's another a good example there. So like Roansy should come up at some point this year. Like, is he going to be able to make that step? Like, is he going to be able to make that leap from the minors to the majors and, not be able to, and like not necessarily go through a huge adjustment period? Like, is he going to be ready? And is he going to be able to compete?
Right. Exactly. Or are you sending him the Joel Hanrahan to find out?
Yeah. I mean, because like when was the last?
Because he's no longer with the team.
Right. I mean, the last Pirates starting pitcher that we developed and was called up and was competitive was who? Jamison Tyone?
Yeah.
I mean, that's immediately where I went.
In 2015. That's 7 years ago. Has there been anybody since him?
That's telling. That's a very good point. Now, albeit, that's why I said something to other, like, had this, not so much argument, but made this comment. I mean, it is a new regime. I won't hold everything on the past against this new one. I'm not going to say that we still can't develop, right? And they still can't do these things. But to your point, Jim, I think it's safe to say Tyone is the last one. I mean, it certainly wasn't King. It's not Glass now.
I think you actually can hold this against this current regime as well, because the minor league system instructors, a lot of it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Like, these are the same people. Sherrington didn't overhaul the minor league system. It's a lot of the same guys.
Scouts wise, but I don't think scouting was an issue.
Like, these guys have also been here 2020, 2021. They've been here for 2 years. There have been plenty of pitchers who have made their debuts in the last 2 years, or let's even say in the last 3 years.
Well,
and they're not being competitive at the major league level.
To be fair, were there any pitchers worth much to come up in those times other than Mitch Keller, which technically was the Huntington, but he's been let carry over, still work in progress. So, like, other than Mitch Keller in that time frame, was there really a pitcher worth a damn to make a stamp on? I mean, is it really? Is it Brubaker?
Again,
I mean, I think all of us pegged him as a bullpen arm, anyways, and
yeah. But again, like, shouldn't they be developing pitchers who can do that?
Sure.
Like, at what point
but who?
can't you find a guy that can just have a 450 ERA? Like, is there not one guy in that organization that was already?
I mean, even give me a relief pitcher. Like, what name a relief pitcher who the Pirates have developed and has been successful in the last 2 years.
I guess my point is there wasn't anyone
I mean, any top 60 prospect can come up and be a serviceable reliever in the major leagues. Like relief pitchers are failed starting pitcher prospects, right? And the Pirates have tons of failed starting pitcher prospects. So why aren't any of them even turning into competent relievers? They're not. Like none of them have even turned into a competent relief pitcher.
He's got a point.
This entire bullpen is made up of people who were acquired.
Outcast, but that's kind of like what I'm getting at. Like who is that person that you want to say?
Literally just anybody.
Max Kranick. Max Kranick should be somebody who was a top 30 starting pitching prospect, got called up. Like, why can't Max Kranick be a successful relief pitcher?
Cody Ponce.
JT Brubaker again.
Well,
let me go down.
So
the
again,
list
I
here.
think part of that is, again, not to put total blame, not to take blame away, but I do think a lot of that was just the fact that, I mean, he became a starter. He pitched a lot of innings last year, which he hasn't done in a while. Like, he just could have broken down. I'm willing to give him a second chance. Like, I'm willing to say this year's the year I really want to critique. But ultimately, I also felt like he is more of a reliever than a starting pitcher anyways.
Nick Mears.
Okay.
Another one. I mean, you can't really say anything but like Cedarland. I mean, I know he got hurt, right? But I mean that plays a part in all of this. Nick Birdie, same way. Like guys who
Louisville guy, of course.
But like we all loved Nick Birdie when he was healthy, and he just couldn't stay healthy. So like, was that something? I mean, is that something the Pirates were doing wrong? I don't know. I mean, who knows? But we still have not seen. We have not seen a pitcher in any capacity come up to the major league level since this new regime took over who experienced success. We haven't seen the first guy yet. Not one has happened yet.
Ronzi had that one star.
I mean, like, really, Cody Ponce.
I mean, you probably have to say like JT Brubaker is probably the best one, and JT Brubaker had a 5.36 earned run average last year and a 0.3 WAR.
Clay Holmes left and immediately got good.
That's
yes.
That's one that eats at me because I was going. I'm gonna say back and forth, but having some conversations on Twitter about like the trades. Like again, I think we all feel the trades are underwhelming. That one seemed like a home run at first. But then you saw Clay Holmes just, albeit short period of time, sample size, get it. But he went to the Yankees in Yankee Stadium and became a hell of a pitcher for them. And now it's like, well, damn, maybe that trade wasn't as much of a home run as we thought it was.
The new regime got here and Kyle Crick turned it into an incompetent pitcher.
Another example. Now, I don't know how much of that was on Crick, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like Edgar Santana. Put on a list. They have not, Jim's right, they have not developed a single arm in 3 years. But what it feels like is we just keep kicking that can down the road of, but they're coming.
They're always going to be coming.
Too. It's not as if like the pitching's behind in the minors. Like we see the bats. You got the top. You got the top 100 list tonight. Like we can go down it, and it's not as if it's flooded with pitchers.
I mean, they're there. It's probably more upper level ready, but I mean. There's some guys that will probably be in Double-A this year. I mean, Priester, Carmen, whatever his name is. Yeah, him. Burrows. I mean, they're not top prospects, but they're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, those are good depth guys, right? I mean, you're hoping that out of that list of 10 arms that are ranked 5th to 20th in the organization. You hope one or two hit, and that's what you're hoping for. But until it happens, it hasn't happened.
God, the last time the Pirates had a guy like that hit was, I don't know the last time, actually.
Garrett Cole.
No, I'm talking about
But like
a guy
a
that wasn't a top
mid-level
prospect.
Oh,
Yeah.
wasn't the top prospect.
It's been 15 years probably.
I mean, I guess you could argue that like Jeff Locke technically hit.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's somebody. But yeah,
is
that's
Chad
probably
Cole
it.
even a?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I think you could.
He's probably
Yeah,
on
you
the
could
Locke
say
level.
that. Yeah,
I mean, if you're going the Locke route, that's why I brought it up.
yeah. Same with like Brault. But like
I
I
think he's a tier below them.
Yeah, but like you're talking about guys who are barely
Like it's
serviceable. I mean, yeah, two WAR pitchers at their best. Yeah, it's been a while since the Pirates kind of just got like a surprise pitching prospect who all of a sudden developed and was good. Been a while.
Yeah, the last one they had was probably Trevor Williams because he came from the Marlins and nobody develops arms like the Marlins.
But ironically enough, he was a top prospect for the Marlins.
I'm full of them tonight.
I know. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys may be like more depressed now. I'm trying to like give the Pirates a little bit of outs here, but it's like the more you guys talk, I'm just like, damn.
I mean,
The more
what
and more
they
you
have
guys
to
talk,
do,
I'm like, I don't want Oscar
Yeah.
Green around here anymore this year either.
I don't want anyone in that organization around anymore.
I'm not gonna say anybody, but
I
I
would
have
say
concerns.
anybody.
I have concerns.
at some point they're gonna have to supplement this roster with free agents, and like those they're gonna have to hit on those free agents, just like Huntington was able to hit on free agents, in 2012 and 2013, right? Like they're gonna need like that would have never happened if we never signed Burnett, Volquez, and
Russell Martin
and Liriano, right? Like those three guys.
Russell Martin.
We're talking about the pitching though.
But I'm talking about pitching. But like the majority of that staff wasn't homegrown. Like they went out there and they got guys, and those guys
same with the
performed.
bullpen.
Was any of that staff homegrown other than Garrett Cole?
Charlie Morin, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Morton Tech, Hine,
Jeff Locke, I
really.
guess.
Yeah, Jeff Locke. But I mean, he was also in the same trade. Like Morton and Locke kind of came over together. But yeah, I mean that whole pitching staff was pieced together and came together. You're hoping that some of these minor league arms can make up, maybe 3/5 of the rotation. But even if that happens, you need to go out there and you need to get 2 quality arms, and those arms are going to have to be better than Jose Quintana.
Right.
Yeah. The days of signing the Lirianos and Volquezes, I think, are over. Like those guys aren't signing for cheap reclamation project deals anymore. You're getting a Jose Quintana now.
But the thing is, they were called reclamation projects because the Pirates were onto something back then. I think what you're finding is, I think we're at an issue like there's no more edges really to be found too much in that sense. Like, why was Liriano, why was Burnett different? Why was Liriano different? I mean, a lot of stuff that the Pirates were doing back then were very innovative, but I think a lot of teams have caught on to a lot of things right now, and that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at this offseason, right? And there are a few people where you could be like, okay, that's a deal that it could go either way, and if it goes well, that's good. Like Corey Kluber, the Rays signed Corey Kluber to a 1-year, $8 million deal, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about. Even someone like Matthew Boyd, coming from Detroit, signed with the Giants 1 year, $5.2 million. Michael Wacha, 1 year, $7 million deal. So like there are pitchers out there. Wade Miley, right? There are pitchers out there there are starting pitchers out there who are like they've had past success. They've shown that they can at least pitch full seasons, and they are signing 1-year deals in that $5 to $10 million range. There's a few of those folks out there.
And even like, I'm not holding like this against them right now, but there's plenty of times where we wanted the Pirates to go in on like a Drew Smiley type of deal, and Pineda, right? Like the guys that are injured, sign them this year. You're going to have them this year, but you have them for next year, right? Like take that risk reward. Pirates never did it back then. So again, I'm not saying the Pirates won't do it now or going forward or whatever, but I think like we were saying too, is you got to take some risks.
Yeah. Like if I'm the Pirates right now, Tyler Anderson and Michael Pineda are both sitting out there. Sign them. Like they immediately improve your team. They don't hold anybody back. Like they're not blocking anybody. This pitching staff is not good. Like you're not blocking legit prospects. Like if you're going to say, oh, well, if they sign him, it's going to cost Will Crow a rotation spot. Oh my God.
He's just going to go to the bullpen where he belongs. If he belongs.
So like sign Pineda and Tyler Anderson, give the two of them a combined $15 million. If they pitch good, cool. You can either keep them or you can flip them at the deadline for something. But like those are like why not do that? This payroll just now hit $40 million. They can spend a little bit more money if they want to. So like, why not do it? Because it's not costing the team anything in terms of like a developmental thing.
Right. And you know what? Now you have Tyler Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have Michael Pineda. A couple of vets. Right. A couple of guys have won places. Start building that clubhouse. Start building that culture.
Well, I mean, like if you sign those two guys, then you've got those two. You've got Quintana. You've got then Brubaker, Thompson, Wilson, Keller, all competing for like 5 spots. Like let's actually like have a starting pitcher competition here instead of just handing rotation spots to people who were awful last year. Like people are like they're just being handed a spot in the rotation and they were bad.
That's also a very, very good point because this happened last year. And I remember specifically on Starbucks, you and I talking about it, and it's already happening. It's something you want to talk about, not to like completely divert, but Kevin Newman already day one shortstop. Why? This guy is terrible last year. And you know what? You have an O'Neal Cruz right there. And you've already named Kevin Newman your starting shortstop opening day. For what? No one has to earn anything like that. This team is garbage. This team, okay, it might be a little much, but in the grand scheme of things, this team is terrible. Nobody should be awarded anything. Not one damn person on that team is good enough other than Brian Reynolds. And I'm not even putting Hayes in there, although he has no competition at third base. But regardless, I'm not even putting Hayes in there. Nobody outside of Brian Reynolds is worth a damn to be given anything on this team. And you got a guy who can't hit the ball out of the infield. And already before games played, you said you're our everyday shortstop from day one. You've deserved this. I have a problem with
he was the worst hitter. He was the worst hitter in Major League Baseball last year.
Exactly. I have a huge problem with that. Again, culture. We're talking about culture. Yeah. Being apathetic. You have named a shitball hitter your everyday shortstop.
He would struggle to get a job if they DFA'd him tomorrow. Like a real major league job.
Right. But it's okay. If he's getting traded to the Yankees for Gleyber Torres.
No, if they DFA'd Newman tomorrow, he would clear waivers and he would sign a minor league deal somewhere.
Yeah. And they're naming him the starting shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the number, what is he, 28, 26 prospect in pipeline 26. As of tonight? You have the number 26 prospect in baseball who made his debut last year. And you're not even making Kevin Newman fight to get that spot.
When Major League Baseball just incentivized you to call him up.
And you're not even giving O'Neal Cruz a reason to fight. F you. I'm here to play, and I'm not even getting a chance.
Yeah, I think honestly the most concerning part of all of this is, okay, well, if O'Neal Cruz isn't going to be your opening day shortstop, how long are you leaving him down there? Because now you go into this season where, O'Neal Cruz is the betting favorite to win the National League Rookie of the Year. Like, if you go if you want to bet on that award, O'Neal Cruz is the favorite. So are you as the Pirates, you're saying, okay, O'Neal Cruz isn't going to be ready. We're going to send him to AAA. And say he's crushing the ball in AAA in April, and you bring him up in May, then literally all you just did was waste a month where you could have had O'Neal Cruz. The service time is going to end up being the exact same. Oh, and by the way, if you would have had him on your opening day roster, you would have also gotten another draft pick next year. So there's like all of these incentives that the Pirates now have to have O'Neal Cruz on the opening day roster. What's concerning to me is if they have no intention on having him be the opening day shortstop, do they have any intention on him being in the National League Rookie of the Year race? Like, are they going to do what we just talked about, where they're going to make sure that Cruz doesn't get called up early enough to get the votes to win that award? Like, is that something that's going to, like, are we going to be sitting there in April? So where's O'Neal Cruz? May, where's O'Neal Cruz? June, where's O'Neal Cruz? July, where's O'Neal Cruz? And then they're like, all right, we'll call him up in August, after we just, DFA'd Kevin Newman.
I might be a little more positive on that outlook. Maybe I'm dumb, but I've been dumb many times before. Not
True
on the offseason part, but I've been dumb many times before. So I feel they probably won't do that route. I think we'll see Cruz more this year than less. But again, that does worry me. You've already given Kevin Newman the opening day role. Like it's a done deal. So again, if I'm Cruz, what am I fighting for right now? I already know my path. I'm not making the majors.
To take it off of Cruz for a minute, it's not just Cruz that we're talking about. Why is Diego Castillo not getting a real shot? I know we don't like him, but Mercado not getting a shot?
Good point.
If you're not going to go Cruz, why is Kevin Newman getting handed this job? We talked about the plethora of middle infielders they have. Give one of them a real shot. Kevin Newman, we know sucks. Diego Castillo probably sucks. Mercado probably sucks. Castro probably sucks. We don't know for sure they suck. We know Kevin Newman sucks.
There's like a 92% chance Kevin Newman sucks.
Yeah, and if
he
there's
changed
a 90%
his swing, though,
chance the rest do, don't care. I'll take that 90.
No, I'm with you.
Kevin Newman's bad.
I would have said at least Kevin Newman has had a good year. I'll give him that opposed to everyone else. We haven't seen them yet. But you're absolutely right. And you're right, too, in that sense. I'm just saying Cruz, but what about the other guys? Like, this should be a whole open competition. Like, everyone should be in there battling. That's what I want to see. I want to see guys fight and want to win and earn something.
You just gathered all these
you're
40-man eligible
apathy.
guys. Use them. Hell, give Hoyt Park a shot. I don't care. You just gathered all these 40-man roster guys. Maybe we give him a real opportunity and not the scrub dude that Keith Law thought was good.
What's the score now, Jim?
Oh, the game's over.
I just figured there's another score that you're looking at.
No.
Cookies are done.
It just become apathetic on this podcast. I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I can only talk about Kevin Newman so long, you guys.
Let's go back to Fletcher. Well, so something else I want to bring up. All right. Because again, we're talking about all this, of course, coming fresh off the CBA and, the Woe Pirates. And I trust me, I fully understand the Pirates are only capable of so much. I will never say they can compete with other markets. It's not about, we'll just spend the money. They can definitely spend more than they do. Right. But something that just tickled me is the fact that the Rays were apparently in on Freddie Freeman, right? Like the Rays of all people. The Rays who handed out a $180 million contract to Wander Franco. Big extension right off the bat. Big extension, right? The Rays, the team that doesn't spend any money either. And then apparently they also went after Freddie Freeman, offered him $150 million. And now it's just at the point where if the Rays are able to do that, then now there's absolutely zero excuse of like what the Pirates are doing. And going forward, what they can and should be doing also. We've, again, apathetically, we've come to terms that we'll never get a Freddie Freeman. We'll never be able to do that. Well, how could the Rays do it? Like if there's a team that would never be able to do that, it's the Rays. They can't find a city that wants them. So like it's the Rays that like have that excuse almost for them. So if the Rays are like out there doing this, then the Pirates damn well can. And I don't want to hear excuses from other people as well, which is again why they could definitely sign someone today to also help them for the future.
In order, we're talking about a team that got rid of a $4 million first baseman in favor of a one.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. Like I really don't. There's really no excuse for any Major League Baseball team with the amount of revenue sharing out there to not spend at least $100 million. Like I don't understand how teams even get away with it. To be honest, I mean, just it's the Pirates have a total of $0 in contracts for next year, by the way, like $0 that they owe people. Obviously that'll change, like if they renew contracts and things like that. But I mean, that's where they're at right now. Like the amount of payroll flexibility, right? Like that's a term we've heard a lot is financial flexibility. The financial flexibility right now is just through the roof.
You can't get better.
The Pirates literally owe people $0 after this year. Like they have zero financial obligations that they have to pay anybody any sum of money after this year. So, yeah, I mean, people, I understand, like, you can't go out there and, like, you're not going to be the Dodgers. And no one is asking for the Pirates to go out there and be the Dodgers. But we've seen plenty of teams now make contracts with people that the Pirates have never even been in the same stratosphere. What did the Kansas City Royals just give Salvador Perez? Right? The Pirates have never given a contract like that to anybody in their entire existence. They've never even been close to it. And we're talking about the Royals here. We're not talking about anybody else. The Rays have now given a contract, and it's Wander. It's a different, I understand. He's on a different stratosphere than any player the Pirates have ever had. All right. But again, the largest free agent contract that the Pirates have ever given anybody was Liriano, I think. Yep. And it was like $28 million. Like it was
39.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. $39 million. Think about that. That's the largest amount of money the Pirates have ever guaranteed a free agent.
And so like that's a free agent. And then still the Jason Kendall is still the largest contract period though, right? The $60 million. I
think that's right. Yeah, because I don't think McCutcheon's was that high.
Even to throw Wander out of throw Wander out of it. The Rays gave Evan Longoria $100 million.
Right. Mm-hmm. So again, like
the Pirates might be the only team that has never done anything like that. Maybe the Rays, I can't think of one.
The Rays gave Charlie Morton $30 million like 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2 year 30, right?
Yeah. I mean, like that's a deal that the Pirates would like. You would never expect the Pirates to ever sign a starting pitcher to a 2 year, $30 million deal. Like that's almost a sum of money that is like impossible to even fathom.
But I mean, they gave Russell Martin a qualifying offer that 1 year.
Qualifying offer.
But I mean, it's just every other team in baseball has demonstrated that they can make contracts like this. The Colorado Rockies, who may be the worst run franchise in the league, just signed Chris Bryant to a $180 million deal.
after they signed. Well, I should say
After
signed,
they,
but extended.
after they, yeah. I mean, we won't talk about what the Rockies are doing because I have no idea. But they've at least gone out there and they've done these things.
And then they didn't trade Trevor Story. They just kept him and kept paying him instead of getting a prospect in return.
I don't know what they're doing.
Right. So talk about one of the worst run organizations, but regardless, yeah.
Yeah. And then going back to the Royals, the Royals just gave Zach Greinke $13 million this year to come back, you know?
Like one thing the Royals and the Pirates, especially beforehand, were very comparable, right? I mean, they just were losers. They just didn't win, right? The Pirates were first to start winning. Then, the Royals did, and ultimately they won the World Series. So that meant something. But it's like, even since then, like, look what the Royals have done. Like they haven't just sat there and said, we're going to suck. Like they went and got Carlos Santana, right? It was Santana last year, right?
Yeah. They still have Santana.
Yep. They've made moves, right? Like they sound Salvador Perez, that like deal you're talking about. Like they got Zach, like they're doing things, and that's kind of where we're getting at with the Pirates. Like you don't have to just suck and be terrible, And it's not like anything's hindering the Royals organization. Like Bobby Witt Jr. is not going to be a good player now because the Rays did that. I'm sorry, the Royals. But the thing is, the fans still have Salvador Perez, and albeit he's still playing well, so that helps. And then Zach Greinke comes back. Like that's the Kutch deal to a degree. Like Greinke's back. Look at that fan excitement. I'm not saying that can't ultimately happen with Kutch. I'm not saying it had to be this year or it's done. But there you go. Like they're not planning on winning. It's not as if the Royals look and say, "Oh, this is the year." No, but they can go ahead and get a Zach Greinke, come back home. Like look at the excitement. Like fans probably still go to the games now. They're probably not talking so much trash on everyone, and they're still helping build for the future, as Mackey said.
The Royals have a $93 million payroll right now, and they locked up their franchise catcher. They just signed their old buddy Zach Greinke. They have like serviceable actual major league players starting in the majority of their positions on their roster, right? And none of this. Benintendi's still there. Carlos Santana, Hunter Dozier, Michael Taylor, Whit Merrifield still there.
Good point.
So and then Nicky Lopez called up. Whit Merrifield extended, by the way. Nicky Lopez just called up, had a really good year last year. Rookie. So like they're a team, and like there's actually like hope. Like, and then you look at this and you say, oh, well, we also have Bobby Witt, who's like right on the precipice of debuting. We've got Nick Prado
number one
down there too, crushing him. We have Nick Prado, the number one first base prospect in baseball. We've got MJ Melendez, who's like the top three catching prospect in baseball. Like all these guys are right there. And we have also major league talent on our team. Like if you're a Royals fan, you're probably excited going into this year because there's a lot of stuff going on to look forward to. And like they're the Royals. We're talking about the Royals. This is what I mean when I'm saying like the Pirates don't have to do what they're doing right now. The Pirates could be the Royals. Like just that's all we're asking you to do is like be the Royals. We're not asking anything else. Just do stuff like that.
That's a very low floor. Like we're asking you to be the Royals.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm just sitting here looking at the largest contracts ever given by each team, and the Pirates are far and below like the smallest.
You brought up a good point. I feel like every team's at least given a triple-digit contract. Well, 6-digit, I should say.
Not triple digits, but even the A's back in the day signed Eric Chavez for $84 million.
Okay.
Like the Pirates are still stuck on Jason Kendall getting $10 million a year.
Right.
And that was a long time ago. I mean, that was 2 decades ago. Yeah, it was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
Right.
The Pirates' payroll is the same now as it was in 2001. Like, make that make sense to me. Major League Baseball revenues are...
Well, if you want me to make it make sense to you, the Yankees are as well. But that's a whole
the difference
reason.
There. Yeah, I mean the difference there. Yeah, we can get into that later. But yeah, like make that make sense to me that the Pirates' payroll hasn't increased in 20 years when revenues are through the roof.
Yeah, but they got pretty close to 100 the 1 year.
They did. They almost got there.
No, they were over.
So
I think they were just barely over.
Not
1 year.
opening day. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, it depends on what source you use.
But regardless, it was. I think they maxed out like 108, wasn't it?
I think,
Yeah. They got there with like all their contracts they added throughout the year.
But
Still
anyways,
sad.
But yeah, that's all I'm asking. Be the Royals. Come on, guys. Be the Royals.
and we want to be Royals.
Who just put together like a $60 million payroll and not suck.
That's so. Someone pointed out. Now again, this is before today, but like I said, they don't have to do what the Cubs did, right? Obviously, like I'm not saying Pirates have to go out and do what the Cubs did. Although the Pirates did what the Cubs did, they'd still be at like just below, I believe, a sub $80 million payroll. And I'm just saying that's not a whole lot of money.
Your
That's a
TV
team you
contract
could
pays
probably watch, and that's also a team that you can build for the future. Like what if the team had Marcus Stroman? Well, hell, that's exciting. I want to go watch. I mean, he won't because it's the Pirates. He has all of us blocked, right? He has the whole entire fan base blocked, so no one's gonna know he's on the mound. But anyways, but like think about that. Like you have Marcus Stroman. Is he blocking anybody? No, but that's a dude. Like I want that guy in my rotation. And he's there long term. So as his team improves, he's still there. You get, I don't want to say I butcher's name, right? But the right fielder from Japan that they just signed. Like
Suzuki.
You get him.
We'll go with that.
That's long term. Like he fits in today. He'll still fit in tomorrow. Who's he blocking? Anthony Alford? Is that who he's blocking? You know what I mean? Like who is he truly blocking? And if if Frazier pans out, then you have Frazier, Reynolds, and Suzuki.
Guys, block it Swaggerty.
Frazier pans out, that's good. Because if he pans out, he's probably doing pretty good. That's probably a legit outfield you have now, opposed to just the dog trash that you do have. And yes, Tyler, to your point. So like if Swaggerty to me is such a long shot. If Swaggerty pans out, there's your fourth outfielder. Or you know what? You can trade people.
Or we could have real competition of like, hey, you suck. You're not playing.
Right.
Well, or he just plays instead of Ben Gamel.
Well, that's what Frazier. That's what Matt Frazier ends up being.
Yeah,
like he's playing instead of Matt,
so it's like
or Ben Gamel.
Right. Oh, and then we also have a DH now, so like, there's a whole other spot.
Also good,
you know.
But it's like you could do that, and you're not blocking anybody, and you're still right below an $80 million payroll.
You could sign Nick Castellanos tomorrow, and your payroll would be under $60 million.
Right.
And like that's one of the top free agents available right now. Like you could go out there and get him, and your payroll wouldn't be $60 million.
And we're not asking for that.
You'd still be 30% less than the Royals.
We're just being a dead horse at this point.
Now, granted, I also understand future. Like if you want to lock up Brian Reynolds, and he'll start costing. You want to lock up Hayes, is going to start costing. So like I understand like the mega contracts, no, but you can add. And he also doesn't have to be 7-10 year deal. You can have a 2 or 3 year deal. Burnett basically was, Liriano.
Right. They could sign Castellanos to a 4-year, $65 million deal today, and there you go. Your corner outfield's set for 4 years. And what did it do? Cost you $16 million. Like, why is that something that's impossible to fathom?
It's
because
not.
I've never signed anyone for $60 million a year.
Right. That's what I mean. Like that shouldn't be an impossible task.
Like they traded cuts
So-
when he was too expensive, basically.
So we're about an hour 30 into this.
Yeah.
We're still on the Vogelbach. This all happened because of Vogelbach.
Do we want to touch on, and I swear to
Oh,
God,
you're
I
killing
will
me.
say Harambe for the rest of my life, but Hembree,
Heath Hembree.
Yeah.
Can I tell you I don't care about him?
Yeah, I think he's a guy who could potentially be a top 3 arm in this bullpen, but that's not really saying much.
Cool. So he'll pitch in like 30 games.
Oh no, like he will probably pitch in 70 games this year.
Well, that's because they don't have a choice.
Right. He'll be there by default.
But like,
I don't hate
if
this
he's
by
good-
any means, though.
Like it'll be Bednar, Stratton, Hembree, top 3.
if you're a Pirates fan and you hate a bullpen acquisition, then you might want to get checked because it's the most irrelevant thing ever. If they're good, they're not going to be used in high leverage because there aren't many of those. And if they're bad, who cares because they suck anyhow.
Yeah, I look at this as he's a serviceable reliever. That's just what he is. And obviously, like when you play for a team like the Red Sox, no one hears of you because you're just in the middle of the bullpen, right? Serviceable, whatever. When you come to the Pirates, you're probably going to be in higher leverage. That's not where he should be, but that's what he will, as Jim says, like by default. But he's a serviceable guy. So, like, I don't hate this signing by any means. It just is what it is. It's not his fault that the Pirates suck and he's going to be relied on. And, like, fans will probably hate him because he's put into these high leverage and he's not that guy. But he's a serviceable guy. Like, the Pirates need, like, we're asking for this stuff and the Pirates did this. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to, like, say, oh, he sucks. I mean, they did this. He's not terrible. It is what it is. But that's just also, like, it's.
He is terrible.
No, I don't think he's terrible. Like, do you think he's terrible?
Yeah, I think he's
like,
terrible.
Terrible. You saw the
like
rotation that the Pirates had last year and the year before. Like, that's terrible.
I will be surprised if he has an ERA under 4.5. It's pretty bad.
Want to have a friendly bet? I'll bet you he does.
Well, hey, you know what? We got over-unders coming in a few weeks.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
We'll forget when we did this. Okay. I'll bet you just right now, not officially, but I'll bet he does. I think it'll be close. I mean, we might be splitting hairs here, but like he's not going to be good, but he will be serviceable. He's a guy that can plug in. He's a veteran, right? He comes from the Red Sox organization. So I don't mind this signing at all.
I didn't say I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I just don't think I just don't think he's good.
I don't think a reliever at 4.5 is good either. But it's a piece.
Like I said, he'll pitch 60 innings.
Yeah.
He'll pitch 60 innings this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But so will Dwayne Underwood Jr.
He might pitch 80.
Right.
Actually, what did he pitch last year? It was close to 80, wasn't it?
72.
Okay. He had like what it's like top 5 innings for a reliever.
Yeah, he went out there. He basically threw 2 innings every other day, I felt like.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
I think there was one more waiver acquisition too, wasn't there?
There was from the Phillies, Medina.
I think actually out of the 2 waiver claims, I feel like this is the best one. Like he actually has shown he was a prospect at one point in time, a starting pitching prospect. Clearly doesn't look like he's going to be a starting pitcher in the majors because he didn't really have much success at AAA there. But he could potentially be a serviceable relief pitcher, I think. So I'm at least interested to see what he can bring.
I think that's the best way to put it.
He's bullpen depth. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the interesting guy where like the Fletcher is just that guy that everyone team's signing because it's spring training, you need arms, whatever. This to me, like Medina could be a project. He has that pedigree. He was a top prospect once, albeit the Phillies system wasn't great either. So him being like number 10 prospect in the Phillies is probably going to be like number 20 in like the Power system right now, or maybe even worse. But he has some pedigree. He has some intriguing stuff. He hasn't put it together. So, hey, maybe this is Austin Marine saving grace. Maybe they give it Dinian and he turns him around. I don't know. But yeah, like this is the one that there's some intrigue to this. I like it. I'm not expecting much, but I like it because there might be something to him.
Don't care. Never heard of him. Don't care.
That just means you're an idiot.
There we go.
Yeah, because everyone's researching the top.
I don't.
Phillies prospects.
I don't fault anybody for not knowing who Adonis Medina is. So you're good there.
We got to get you on our strat league because then you will. Because you would have been offered Medina for Brian Reynolds about 20 times.
Could not care about who Medina is.
Anyways. So that happened. And then, Austin Brice is also someone they added today. Pitcher, blah, blah, blah. I believe
just go ahead and put me on a recording of don't care.
Well, I know him because
He's something to
of
be
the
happy
Marlins.
about.
Now, Price is he's a minor league deal, though, right?
Mm-hmm. But he's not good.
Big one was Chase DeYoung coming back.
Yep.
Big one. Yep.
Thank you, Tyler.
Do we have to just keep rehashing these shitty signings? I hate this team.
Anyways, I guess
to round out, do we want to round off the call just like with top 100 prospects came out today?
We won't go too deep in them, but
sure, we'll just make this 2 hours. Nobody has to work tomorrow. I mean,
I think
like daylight savings doesn't matter anymore. So
yeah, it's time. Time doesn't matter. I think the one thing to just kind of think of between Pipeline and all the other prospect lists that we've seen is Pipeline is the highest on Nick Gonzalez. This is the highest ranking we've seen Nick Gonzalez get out of any prospect site out there. Number 20 overall and number 1 in the organization. So they really like his hitting ability. Think he's also playing a really good second base, like transitioning to that really well. And they're very high on his ability to hit.
I think that's very, very aggressive by MLB Pipeline.
I mean, they have him as the number 1 second base prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I was surprised a little bit on that. But it's not as if I don't believe any of this can happen.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him not strike out at a 30% clip before we start touting his hit tool.
Right. And we talked about it. So again, that's why I'm surprised.
Fair.
I see him.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think maybe a lot of that was just whatever, because at the end of the year, right after the injury come back, like you didn't see that. So I don't know if they bought into that maybe a little bit more, and that's why they won't put him here. But again, that's why I was surprised to see him there. That's why I wasn't shocked when Baseball America came out and he wasn't on the list, right? Like you haven't really seen it sustain, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, what you're looking at him this year is like, can he sustain that end of year success? I mean, if you look at just the raw numbers at the end of his first full year, 150 weighted runs created plus in high A ball, his first full season, like there's really not too much to dislike about that. Like I said, the strikeout rate is the one thing, 27.4%. But then we saw in the Arizona Fall League that strikeout rate got cut basically in half. So yeah, I think out of all the prospects that we have, a lot hinges on Nick Gonzalez. Like the Pirates really need him to be a good second baseman. That's a kind of a black hole position right now, and he would fill a really big need there of a good offensive player at that position that the Pirates frankly haven't really had since Neil Walker. I guess you could say Frazier last year, but technically average hitter, really at best above average hitter. But no, Nick Gonzalez, a lot weighing on him. So see if he can just have it carry over to Double-A.
Big facts. Yep. So is that a big takeaway?
Henry Davis was, Henry Davis was next on the list, 24th overall, which is kind of in line with where he is everywhere. I feel like he's kind of teetering right around that top 20 prospect in baseball area. So not really much of a change there from all of the other sites. I think the one difference we see here is the next guy on the list is O'Neal Cruz, 26th overall, third in the system, whereas Fangraphs and Baseball America both rank him, quite a bit higher than that. So that is the lowest ranking I think we've seen O'Neal Cruz get.
And also,
again, not bad.
I think we can all kind of be in agreement that Pipeline's entire grading process is kind of silly.
It is. Yeah. They hand out, it's a little bit inflated. Everything's inflated. Yeah, for sure.
So seeing anything that seems out of whack is kind of like, whatever.
Well, then say what is nice though is so he was number 51 prospect according to 2021 on Pipeline. So definitely still a big move for him this year from last.
Yeah, I think the one thing that stood out to me when I was reading the scouting report, at least, is they were like, we've been talking forever about how he's gonna have to move. He's gonna have to move, and they were like, they don't think he's gonna have to move. So like they think he's gonna stay, which obviously him as a shortstop, like that's a premier position that adds a lot of value to him. So that was the kind of the top three there. Next two on the list were pitchers. Quinn Priester slotted in at 54. Kind of, he's kind of been all over the place too, but I feel like he's typically in that 50 to 100 range, like the bottom half of the top 100. Roansy, 71 on the list. So him and Priester, the two pitchers there. And then rounding out the list, kind of Peguero in a similar spot to where he's normally at too, kind of sitting there in the middle of the back half of the top 100, 79. So
maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but on no planet am I putting Priester ahead of Rosie.
I think what you could, I mean, Priester has probably the better pedigree than Contreras, so maybe you're just looking at it that way. And like from a stuff standpoint, Priester's stuff is better. I think. I think that Contreras has shown better command than Priester has, but I think both of them kind of right in the same. Like I view them very similar when it comes to like what I expect out of the two of them. Like I think both of them, have a ceiling as like a number 2 starter. And I think the eventual outcome of both of them is like right there as like a solid number 3 starter. I think that's something that's a reasonable expectation from both of those two. So I kind of lump them together. I think they're very similar in terms of like a ceiling and floor.
I would disagree.
Like, where do you think they end up? Like, what do you think Roansy could be?
I think you underrate Roansy's stuff.
Okay.
Like the swing and miss stuff is obviously there. Priester, maybe he does have better true stuff, but the bust component is, I think, much higher.
I could see that just because he's also not further. He's not as far along. So
he also has not put together really any great results.
Well, he's only pitched 1 year.
Fair to say though too that it has always seemed as if MLB Pipeline grades more of like ceiling, like potential, opposed to anything else. So I think that could be part of it as well. Like you're right, he probably is more chance of busting than Roansy is, but at the same sense, I think he has like the better ceiling, especially again after everyone praised him last year.
For nothing, he threw a few bullpens.
So let me ask, and I'll just put it out there. But do you think also a bit of it could be again Quinn Priester 6'3", 210, Roansy 6', 175? Like does Contreras' size maybe have a little bit of a disadvantage, and that's why you could see him ranked under a little bit too?
I think there's definitely a part in that because then you look at Contreras' size and you're like, can he pitch a full season? Can Roansy Contreras put together like 150 plus inning season?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a reasonable question to ask because we have not seen him do that yet.
Right.
Whereas Priesters makeup and his build projects to him being able to do that. Right.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Well, good deal.
Good soup.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, there's rounding up the rankings that came out just tonight. So yeah, and like I just want to cap this off. I know, especially me, like I get down. Sometimes we get negative here. I mean, as a whole, I don't hate, and I can speak for myself on this, right? I'm not gonna put you guys. You can say what you want, but like as a whole, I do think the organization is going in a good direction. Like it is a top farm system, right? Like they are building. What really gets me is this offseason. Like it just boggles me what they've done this offseason. And that's why it just keeps coming out. Just keeps coming out this way. But I think like once the season starts, I mean, they'll still be pissed that we're watching these shitty games, but you'll still see the development. You'll still see whatever, we'll be talking about that. I'll be good to talk about that. But again, I just have no understanding of why they couldn't have really added on a couple pieces here to show that gap, right? You're making that transition. Like you can now see next year can be that year that you can become a competitive team. And which is such a slap in the face is watching the Cubs doing it right before your eyes. Like they're literally doing that. That the Cubs dismantle their team. Like they trade off all their pieces last year. You easily could have said the Cubs are going to be rebuilding for a few years. I mean, I think we were all kind of happy. Like look, like that's what started all these conversations. Like, look, the Cubs finally did it. Like they're rebuilding. The Cardinals, like they're not going to be good, especially after a few years. All the people retire. The Brewers are good for right now. Like the Reds probably going to hold on for too long, and now we're seeing the Reds dismantle. Like you can see his clear path, and it's like the Cubs saw it. Like the Cubs said, "Well, you know what? This whole division sucks. Like, why should we be bad for 2 years? Let's go and start adding right now." And it's like that's what the Pirates could have done. Like the Pirates could have capitalized a little bit, been a bit competitive right now. Add and been more competitive next year. The division's weak, and now we're seeing the Cubs do it, and the Cubs just like leaped us in terms of we thought the rebuild would last, and there is no rebuild. It just didn't exist.
No, I mean it's a good point. I mean, and you can say it all started. It actually all started with Wade Miley, right?
Yes.
So like Wade Miley got DFA'd.
Correct.
The Pirates passed on him, and then the Cubs immediately took him. And then the Cubs also signed Stroman, signed Suzuki, signed Jonathan VR, signed Yan Gomes, signed Andrelton Simmons. Like they went out there and they got all these guys.
And have Carlos Correa,
yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, I mean they could have just said, you know what, we are rebuilding, right? But like you mentioned, this division isn't good, so they were like, you know what, why suck? Like what we're doing on the major league team isn't going to affect, our prospects that we've hoarded from kind of tearing down that last team. So while all those guys are developing, let's go ahead and let's get a few guys so that we can maybe make a run at this because 85 wins could win this division.
Mm-hmm. And if not this year, you're still set up for next year to do the same thing. And we know the Pirates aren't going to be anything next year. The Reds clearly aren't. Wainwright's going to retire, right? Molina's going to retire. Like the Cardinals could take a step back, and all you have is the Brewers. Yelich fails, right? Something goes wrong. The Cubs have the division next year, potentially.
It's basically like the Browns thinking that when Ben retires, they're going to be able to just take over the division, and then the Steelers go sign everybody and their mother, and their quarterback wants to be traded now.
That's a good point. Just like that.
You can always count on me to make it relatable.
Here comes Ennis 11.
That's the only sport we care about around here anymore.
So all in all, we got, what'd you guys say? We have 3 more shows till the season? of NS9?
Yep. I did the
Yeah.
math.
Okay. Sure.
I did the maths.
If Tyler did the math, I'll go with that.
All right. Sounds good. So with that said, I guess does that wrap up tonight's show?
That wraps up tonight's
Finally.
show.
Been 2
Yeah,
hours.
Finally.
it's been long. It's been long. I'm
Been a
looking
lot
forward
to
to
talk
the next
about.
episode. Next episode of NS9 Bets. I'm looking forward to that on Saturday, Tyler.
It's St. Patty's Day weekend. I don't know what I'm gonna bet.
I'm gonna bet you're drunk.
It's gonna get wild.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I will be sober. Like today's St. Patty's Day. I'm sober.
What was the odds on that?
I mean, I had 5 beers, but that doesn't count.
That's just to take the edge off.
Right.
Yeah, that's Guinness. That's like healthy.
That's just winding down. Yeah.
Right.
It's like water. Guinness. Very, very light.
Basically. It was my dinner.
Yep, sounds about right. Well, then with that said, yeah, we'll wrap up here. It's been about 13 hours. So we'll be back next week. But of course, you have NS9 bets on Saturday, NS9 NFT on Monday that you probably don't want to listen to, but it's cool. And we'll be back next week. So until then, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
See you guys.